Everyone, it is the club. It's a Monday night. We are back. We're back with a win. It is 5 from 5, 5 points clear, and somewhere in a different universe, 5 in a row. That was just for Paddy. Tonight, it's myself, Ray, hosting. We've got Gar, we've got Paddy, we've got Robbie, and we've got James, who may contribute from time to time. And we are going to discuss tonight Liverpool's 3-1 win at Anfield against Newcastle at the weekend. We're going to discuss one player in particular, Bobby Firmino, and the impact he's having on these early games and those 5 wins. And we'll also look ahead to the first Champions League game tomorrow night against Napoli in defence of our European Cup. So, look, the game on Saturday, we'll start with the team. There was 2 obvious changes there. Oxlade-Chamberlain starting and Divock Origi starting. Gar, what was your thoughts? It seemed like a sensible, in brackets, rotation, although it's not really a rotation. It's just utilising the squad. What was your kind of thoughts on the team when you seen it?
I thought there would have been more changes, Ray. To be honest with you, I didn't think just 2 would change. I thought he would have mixed up a bit more, especially Trent and Robbo getting a lot of games lately. I thought he would have probably put Gomez in a right full, but but in the way the game went then, you could see why the 2 lads were at right and left full, because they literally had the freedom in the stadium on the 2 flanks, in fairness. But now quite happy. Unfortunately, Origi goes off injured.
Yeah.
Ox didn't do it for me. In fairness, I did comment within the group a few times that he would take an extra 4 touches out of the ball and the ball would run away from him a lot. I think it came 4 or 5 times he done that, in fairness. But listen, he needed games. He's had nearly a year out, so it's not for any of us to give the guy grief. He's still finding his feet, in fairness, and match fitness is totally different to playing a friendly.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give him too much grief, in fairness.
Yeah, I think with Ox, he's got, as you say, I think Klopp sees him being an important part of the squad going forward, and he's got to try and bring him in gradually. There's no point in only using him for 15 minutes here or there. You may as well give him, as he has been typically, 60, 65 minutes and then making the change.
At first thought, Ray, you probably thought it would have been the right game to bring him into. You probably thought they would have sat 2 banks of 4.
Yeah.
But in theory, they changed it. They had 5. So there's nearly 3 sitting holding midfielders at times. And it wasn't right from him. You could see it was any time he's getting on the ball, there was numbers all around him, in fairness.
Yeah.
And just at the start, I went, probably the right game for him to try and, pull people out of position, try and pull defensive midfielders out of position. But he was going by 1 and there was 2 coming at him at times. So it ended up not being because they played so defensively.
Yeah.
But we were so comfortable anyway, so.
Yeah. And the other sort of major change, I guess, Paddy, was Origi coming in for Firmino. Again, it seemed like a logical thing to do, Firmino coming back late from the international duty and whatnot.
I think I was listening to another podcast and they were saying that Firmino played a game at 6 o'clock in the morning, English time, and had to make his way back to England and then play a match at 12 o'clock English time, or half 12 English time. Now, we know he was rested and he came on, but I don't know about anyone else in here. I've been to America for a week and came back and be jet lagged for 2 weeks. So I don't know how that fella rocks up, gets the pearly whites out and runs amok. It's actually a testament, and it shows. We've been harping on it in here for weeks and weeks and weeks about how important he actually is to the squad, and the people who watch the games and watch us play without him, to how pivotal and vital he is to the team going forward. Like, he just literally came onto the pitch and everything changed. It was like we just went up another gear, we went up another level. And if you actually watch his highlights just on Twitter or YouTube or wherever, he's just absolutely outrageous. It's probably one of the best number 9 performances I'd probably say Anfield has seen in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
From any number 9 we've had over the last 10 years anyway.
And that was us watching it on the telly. I'd imagine being in the stadium and watching some of these things that he was pulling off was probably even more kind of special, wasn't it, sort of thing. I mean, just in terms of the start, Robbie, obviously we got off to a pretty dreadful start. It was one of those things where your man just sticks it in. It's a bit of a worldie. These things happen. 1-0 down, not great. Thoughts went through my mind about the fact that Newcastle went to Spurs the other week and done something similar and got a 1-0 victory. Were you a little bit concerned, or given it was really early in the game, were you confident enough that, well, look, we were 2-1 up at half time, but what was your initial thoughts?
I wasn't overly concerned. It was so early, you know. I thought we'd be plenty of time to get this back. The only thing that was kind of niggling was it's Steve Bruce, and he has quite a good record against us.
Yeah.
Now, and in saying that, it was mentioned on the TV that he's only won there once as a manager, which I was totally surprised by.
Yeah, but there's loads of these little kind of, we think this, that and the other, but actually when it comes to the reality of the stats, it actually flies in the face. It's usually 1 or 2 big wins or whatever
so
that changed the perception,
I thought, so maybe all those good results being away, or, you know, see Bruce at home. Yeah. But no, I have to say the crowd, it seemed to be that the crowd were totally relaxed about it, and you know, no one was getting on anyone's back, or you know, they were still well up for it and whatnot. So no, I wasn't too concerned. The first 25 minutes, we were. I don't know whether it was the 12:30 kickoff, whether it was people coming back from international duty.
I think it was both. I think it was a bit of both going on myself. I mean, it felt like that. It felt like, here's a bit of, if there was a banana skin, it was those 2 factors that were going to trip us up as much as anything else, or the players being away on international duty. But I guess for me, when you've got, well, Salah and Mane didn't go away, did they? And they both looked on it to me.
Yeah. Salah particularly in the second half, I thought. But there was an incident with Robbo when he went in. He went in for the tackle. He
crunch and tackle.
And then he went on, and then another guy, he outran another guy. And he got the cross in, and I think that whipped the crowd up.
It got me off my chair. I remember I was sitting there feeling a little bit like, I've been looking forward to watching the Reds for the last 2 weeks, and the first 15-20 minutes was almost like a kind of non-event, and then you're right, Robbo goes crunching in, gets me off my seat, and you could just see the lift it gave the crowd and the players.
And then I think the crowd got more up for it and ready to go, and then I think we got the goal shortly afterwards, the first goal. So once we got the first goal, it was grand to put my feet up and watch the rest of this. You know,
and that first goal by Mane, just again another worldie guy,
Absolute class, wasn't it? Jesus. But in fairness, the move was absolutely brilliant up to it as well. It went over to Trent's side, didn't, and worked its way. Obviously, he no way through, works his way through the middle of midfield, works it over to the left-hand side. Robbo cuts in, gives the pass off, and Mane unleashes that. He seems to be scoring that goal all the time now, doesn't he? Look at Coutinho used to score that one type of goal all the time. He just seems to place it just beyond the keeper. Keeper can't get to it. He's unbelievable, isn't he, at the moment?
His precision in the finish is like just, we don't seem to be wasting lots of opportunities like we were a couple of years ago. Do you know what I mean? I don't even think we're creating necessarily more chances than we did, but we're a lot more clinical when it comes to it, aren't we?
Punishing teams now. That's the difference. He makes a mistake. Like, don't get me wrong, Newcastle's goal, I don't think 3 goalkeepers would have saved your man's shot. Your man hits the ball that hard. It actually doesn't spin. The ball doesn't spin, he hits it that hard. So that's just one of them. But for us, I think, as we were saying earlier on, even though we went 1-0 down, there's still a calmness in us. And I listened to an interview with Klopp the other day, and he was talking about that. They had, over the international break, obviously still a lot of work goes on at the club, and with Melwood, he said they studied the Spurs game to see what they would have been up against. And I'd say there would have been a game plan to say, if we go 1 down, or if we're under the cosh, listen, we just need to be patient, because the chances will come and we will take them. And as we were saying earlier on, a change in personnel, and obviously players worked on certain positions and what way we wanted to play. And obviously, Origi getting injured. I think it was the AstroTurf. He caught his foot in the AstroTurf, was it?
Yeah. Just adjoins the pitch on the sideline.
And I think I'd say Newcastle were ready and had a game plan to play against us in a certain way. But I think Firmino just had a look at the script and ripped it up and said, "Right, I'll be out in a minute," and that was it. But that's what it just turned into. It just turned into the Firmino show. I know the other lads got the goals, but I actually can't praise him enough. That's how good he was.
So Firmino gets the assist for the second. There's a bit of luck there, Robbie. I mean, this is the other thing that I like to see in a title push, title challenges. You get a little bit of luck as well, and I think we did get a little bit. Not that I don't think we needed the luck. Yeah, I'm going to come on to that, but we got a bit of luck, and Mane puts us 2-1 up, and then it is kind of plain sailing. Yeah,
absolutely. The goalkeeper should have done better, I thought.
Yeah,
with that, he should have. He came out and he tried to. It came off his body. I thought, where was his hands? He should have, he should have been saving that. I think he's going to get a knock. Yeah. But fair play to Mane. He had the wherewithal to. He kept looking at the ball. He knew, the ball could have went anywhere, and we just got a bit of luck. But that's fine. I mean, we deserved it, especially after the penalty decision as well, which was absolutely. So horrific.
VAR. I mean, it gets weirder and weirder every week, doesn't it? I mean, the comment straight after is that this was because it was a subjective situation. It wasn't a clear and obvious error.
Subjective? If I'd have done that to Paddy in the middle of town, I'd be in Star Street.
We're not bothering you, the Liffey.
I was trying to be nice on Star Street. The kids listen to this show.
Then we'd have to get Joe involved one way or the other. Yeah. But you're right, it was common assault, wasn't it?
Absolute ludicrous. And you can see Klopp goes over to the fourth official. Yeah. I did say third official in a text message the other day. But anyway, and he's remonstrating, going, what's happened there?
Yeah.
And then your man comes on BT and says, it's because
Peter Walton
comes on. The Waltons are right. John Boy would have made a better decision. And he comes on, he says, no, there's a bit of, two of them are at it. And I'm going to myself, what?
Yeah. And he said,
it's unbelievable.
And then he asked him, would you have given it? And then he couldn't even answer that question straight. He said something back around, in front of the cop, and then laughed. I mean, why are these people getting a salary?
Why always us? It's not fair.
But look, I mean, the reaction from Klopp and Pep when we score over to the fourth official,
Pep Linder's just tears from him.
Yeah. I mean, initially I thought they were heading towards the Newcastle bench, and then I realised what had been going on there. That
Pep Linders puts on this Matip walking over. He's got his two hands dangling over. This is not a live show. I wish you could see it now. But little Pickford arms going across. He was
little Minter.
So look, we're 2-1 up at half time, and then in the second half, again, I suppose it's old habits die hard in terms of I'm sitting there worrying, thinking we need to get a third. Probably more so than any one in that ground, I would imagine, because in reality we were completely in control. I don't remember Adrian having to make a single save, or even be involved in any way, shape or form. And we eventually get the third goal, and the flick from Firmino in that build-up is just outrageous, isn't it, Robbie?
Yeah, it was coming though, wasn't it? He was playing through balls there, lovely flicks and tricks, and it was just had to.
Genie, wasn't it, as well?
Oh, the one for Genie was brilliant.
That had gone in, Jesus.
Yeah.
I was gone down the M50 naked.
But this is, we have three guys who are on the same level.
Yeah.
And Salah picked the ball up, went for the 1-2. He knew he was getting it, but what a way to deliver a 1-2,
I know.
Absolutely fantastic. And I thought Salah finished his goal well as well.
Yeah, it was a lovely finish. It was so calm, wasn't it?
Yeah, as he went through it, just to me, it was inevitable that he was going to stick that in. I mean, we've missed a few chances prior to that, actually. I mean, the keeper had made a couple of saves.
Have you seen the image of Van Dijk?
No.
There's an image going around. Van Dijk is actually celebrating it as soon as it goes onto Salah's foot.
Yeah, he has his arms out.
He's like the Shankly statue he is there.
There's been a few of those lately, actually. There was another goal I seem to remember. I was either the back of last season or early this season.
He got Boyan when he man against the ball, he puts his arms up.
Yeah. The lads just there's this kind of almost sixth sense, isn't it, around knowing that things are just going to happen. At some point or other, we're just going to ground these teams into submission.
You know what's great? Having for Adrian to be able to sit and watch this.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I think it's personally. I think
There's harder ways to earn 50 grand a week.
Yeah,
I
I think it's set it up perfectly now for Adrian to play the cup competitions because he's had that experience with the team. Yeah. You bring him in, it's not like you're bringing him in. He
knows how the back four works.
There's been some kind of. It's
correlation. I think is the word you're looking for.
Yeah,
spell it.
He's got to know his defenders in front of him, and I think for the cup games, I think he's perfect now. And I also think for some of these cup games, again, we don't. I don't see us necessarily starting 11 changes completely.
No.
I think we can. Maybe not only 2 changes, but maybe 5 or 6 at the max, and you keep some of the top players in.
The likes of Lovren and Shaqiri get a game.
Yeah, is Lovren still around?
Ian Brewster,
yeah, he never went.
No, he's still there. No. So,
and we actually got to see a little fleeting glimpse of Shaqiri at the end as well, didn't we? Which is a bit of a rarity these days. So it probably does. There's probably no point me asking who the man of the match was. It was obviously.
It was Origi.
He found the injury to go off, so Firmino.
Hey, I did a good job, but I thought his leg was going to fall off.
But no, look, he is like. We've already spoken about it and his goals and all that sort of stuff. But his contribution in these first 5 weeks has just been phenomenal. I mean, he must have accumulated some highlights reel at this stage, and he hasn't really. I mean, he's only scored 2 or 3 goals. He's not. This is the thing. He's not. We don't need him to be banging in 30 goals. He creates so much.
I said a few weeks ago, I think he's stepped up another level. Do you know, last year, the start of last season, he was very poor, wasn't he? Balls up, and then obviously he had his injury, and he came back from his injury, and he was very poor. Balls looked like we were bouncing off him.
Yeah,
but now he looks like he's pushed on about 4 or 5 levels to me.
Yeah,
I was quite critical. I used to be quite critical of him and going, "Jeez, well, you know, your touch is awful," and you're using the ball to him. But now, Anthony touches is getting. He's almost at Ronaldinho levels now, and the flicks and tricks he's doing, like.
But what is it? I can't put my finger. Is it psychological? Is it the fact that he's now a European Cup winner and he went to Brazil and he won that Copa America
he must be like
in the summer?
As I listened to. Heard another interview saying that it's either with some players need a kick in the arse and some players need an arm around them, and he doesn't seem like the type of player that needs a kick in the hole to get going because he walks his socks off. And apparently, I think you said it 2 weeks ago that Van Dijk said he's the best player he's played with, and for to come for a compliment like that from Van Dijk must be something else. Now I know Van Dijk hasn't been at a lot of top level clubs, but. Like he must be outrageous. Yeah. He must be absolutely ridiculous. Because any game I've ever been to and any Liverpool game I've watched, like in the ground, he's like a wasp running around. He actually is. He's just. I'd say he is an absolute disaster to play against.
Well, you see, he popped up in the left back position a couple of times as well, didn't he?
You can't even mark that. What do you plan against doing that? Just putting someone on the whole game?
Kick him.
If you put defensive midfielder on him for the whole game, he's gone. That's your midfield function gone because you've taken a player out. How do you mark that?
Yeah, you make a good point. I was also listening to people raving about Firmino, and I was sitting there thinking, how do you deal with it? And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm an opposition manager, I just tell someone to give him a fucking kick in the first 10 minutes because he's so influential, isn't he?
But he's like that.
See if you can slow him down through some kind of,
But I think if you, as Gareth saying, if you try and, I'd say there's other avenues of this, but if you try and base your game off stopping Firmino, well then there's 2 other lads who you're taking the eye off, who are actually, I know Firmino isn't as potent in front of goal, but if you're concentrating on Firmino and you're letting Salah and Mane roam around. Like, good luck. God, you might as well just take out a striker there and put another goalkeeper in for a crack.
You're guaranteed to get a chance.
And it's weird with Mane. Mane doesn't score the easy ones.
Yeah.
He'll miss from 7 yards out here off the keeper, but he'll go 25 yards out and smash it into the top corner.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we were saying a few weeks back, saying that he's gone up a level as well as finishing because he's scoring more frequent than he's scoring. He's not a great goal scorer, he's a scorer of great goals. That the saying that goes around with strikers, but
the second goal was a tap-in.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
But he doesn't do those.
Generally not.
I actually thought the second goal, I thought when I first looked at it, I thought he dinked it over the keeper. And I had to watch back. I was like, no, if he had a
didn't
deep
manage
over
to,
the keeper,
that would have been outrageous, wouldn't it?
Good luck, get out of here.
But I think that this game has really opened the eyes of the media. And they just realise now how good this lad is. And I think...
Match of the Day. So I watched Match of the Day and they did a big kind of, they singled someone out and they were absolutely, Gary Lineker and they were absolutely raving about him. Yeah. So, Robbie, I mean, if he's getting this, if he's actually now starting to get this kind of level of attention, do you think he has the, obviously it's only 5 games and it's a long season, but if he turns out to be this kind of Ronaldinho kind of character who's constantly having this highlights reel every week, he's another player who potentially could end up being in contention for Player of the Year.
Yeah.
We got 3 lads who potentially could be in contention for Player of the Year.
Yeah, I remember in 87, 88.
Hold on. You have to remember, Carragher said it's going to be Sterling. Like, he seems to have forgotten Salah exists. Fucking ridiculous.
You're actually wrong there. The Player of the Year award is gone. It was given to Pepe for the fourth half.
That one was taken,
and the chap seems to have fallen off the face of the earth now.
Yeah, I know.
It was like, did you hear the nonsense when they got that front three? They're going to terrorise it. And I think has he even got 1 goal?
Who, Pepe?
Yeah.
No, I don't think he scored.
No, we shoot back soon from the jeans factory.
But yeah, Robbie, I mean, it's amazing to have that kind of talent up front, really. Do you think it goes beyond the whole Sturridge, Suarez, Sterling trio that we had?
I think so. I think the levels of 3 of them together are they're putting out every week is way above what we had in 13-14. 13-14, I think I think Suarez wasn't there for the first 7, 8 games, wasn't it? Sturridge carried us for a while.
He did.
I think then Suarez had his moments, and Sterling had his moments as well. Yeah. But these 3, they come as a 3.
Yeah.
And we saw that when Origi plays, it's not as effective and whatnot. But I would definitely go with the 3 at the moment. I'd have them over Suarez, Sterling and Sturridge. Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like a flash in the pan, does it, either? It feels like those 3 lads could, if we can stave off interest from wherever it may come, those 3 lads could run amok for years.
Well, listen to an interview with Klopp, and he said what's so good about the squad is he said all the players, he says the team spirit in the room, he says after the final in Madrid, he says has gone up. He says all the players want to be here. He says anyone that's here, he said, is still here because they want to be here, and anyone who's wanted to go is gone. He says, I don't have anyone in there who, he said, it's hard to keep players happy. He said, but players have individual roles and players are given jobs in training. I think it was actually Sturridge that came out and said it before he left, or someone talking about Sturridge. He said, when we were playing certain teams, let's say like Watford, the likes of Sturridge and other players would take up certain roles and mimic who they were. Now, I know it's not exactly the same, but they sacrificed their training sessions to play in a certain way to mimic the likes of Watford or Everton or Fulham. And he said that was the difference between. He said, that was what he was talking about. He said the team effort. Yeah. He said it's not 1 to 11. He said it's 1 to
everyone 23. Has a role.
Everybody has a part to play. Yeah. Everybody is stepping in. Yeah. Some players are going to come in and tell you they're not happy. Yeah. And he said that's understandable. He said, but players understand. He said this is a world-class club. This club is elite. And this club is coming back to being the elite of the European clubs. Yeah. And he says they're happy to be here. And he says that's the hardest part is not keeping them happy. He said the hardest part is keeping them hungry. He says because when players make the decision to go out onto the training pitch, he says that's their decision. He says players don't have to train if they're not. They can say they're injured or they can say they're not fit.
Oh, we've seen plenty of players do that.
Yeah, but he said
not
the
just
players,
Liverpool players as well.
He said players that aren't playing every week still make the decision to come into Melwood, walk through the training doors and give it 100% because it's for the benefit of the collective. And that's what I think is so important now at the club.
But at the end of the day, I mean, look, we're European champions. Yeah, I think it was also emphasised by how the lads reacted when they won that Super Cup, yeah?
Yeah.
To some of the fans, it wasn't necessarily important. I think it's also, we were talking just before we came on about the World Club Championship. And yeah, I can see why fans wouldn't be, would see that as a distraction and inconvenience in December, given that it looks like we are 100% in a title race.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it feeds the hunger of the players and it feeds the desire of the players that they're the elitist club in Europe at this moment in time to go out and represent the European, I guess, football world in a Super Club Championship. I don't think that can be underestimated. We might find it annoying, but I think we've got to embrace it for what it is, because I tell you what, if those lads go out there and win that trophy, they'll fucking celebrate it big time.
Oh, 100%.
And that'll just bring up the unity another level. And to me, it just elevates us a little bit. It kind of sticks one up on City as well, doesn't it, at the end of the day, because they've not been able to put themselves in that position yet. I mean, what do you think, Gar?
I used to argue with Steve on here that, winning Carling Cups and FA Cups breeds winning mentality. And when you're going through stages of transition with your sides and you're winning these sort of cups, it does feed into players. And me and Steve often, we probably sit down today and we probably get in a pub with 20 of us and we go, it's not necessary, they're now here for these competitions. Yeah. But winning breeds a winning mentality, no matter if it's an FA Cup, a Super Cup, a bleeding Vans trophy.
Yeah.
It breeds, it's about mentality, it's psychology. It breeds, it's trophies.
Isn't it?
And if you've got players who want to add trophies to their career and retire and go, yeah, I won this, I won that, that's a different story. We've got players who are just in it for money, and we've seen it in years gone by with players who've been in good sides but not won at them, because we've always heard they're getting contract increases here. Look at David De Gea now, getting another contract today. What's he done in the last couple of years?
I'm delighted because he's going to cost Real Madrid about 170 million now, so it doesn't matter.
Up there, he's gone woeful.
But what's a contract now with a footballer? It's nothing.
Yeah,
it's only another buyout clause.
100%.
It's only just a bar. Like, this is what you have to pay for them to get them. If you want them, as everybody knows, if Real Madrid wants someone,
they'll try and go and get them. No, in fairness, I did have this argument that they're so-called elite clubs, but why would you go and sign for any of them teams now?
I know.
Because they're in the biggest transitions of their life. Barcelona are awful at the moment.
Yeah, shocking.
Real Madrid only won 3-2 the other night, still in transition. Zidane's a brutal manager. We all know Ronaldo more or less ran that team for a few years.
I think it comes down to those clubs leaning on their brand and their image, and obviously the riches that go with playing.
Bayern, another club in huge transition.
Yeah.
And you've got Red Bull Leipzig, who are
top of the league,
doing very, very well there at the moment. So they're all in transition. So why would you leave Liverpool at the moment?
I know.
Why would you?
It doesn't make any sense, and I think to move to any of those clubs would be a completely wrong move for any of our big guns at the moment.
And I saw some horseshit journalism this morning. I don't know what someone retweeted about Van Dijk being chased by Barcelona. And I got this. What the hell? Who pays these guys? Who pays these guys? Look, did they not sit down and watch games?
In Dicalia, was it?
I don't know. It could have been India on the wind up.
Worst one. It was about Klopp today and how he wouldn't sign a new contract due to the weather in England.
Jesus Christ.
And basically someone in the Mirror wrote us a story, and Klopp explained in the press conference tonight and basically said, that was my agent taking the absolute piss out of you idiots.
Oh, really? Yeah?
Yeah.
I love
just
that.
a complete wind-up.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Just to see if he'd actually report.
He basically went
that
German
stupid.
sense of humour in the press conference.
That is madness.
Oh, lucky I was going to bring that up. I was getting worried, so I'm glad I know that now.
So the other dimension to this was obviously Robbie City and the complete and utter shock that was Norwich. I mean, this is a Norwich side that we blew away in 45 minutes. Yeah, they won the second half against us 1-0, and everyone was giving them a whole load of credit, and credit where credit's due. They've got on and beat Man City 3-2.
Our shaky 4-1 is looking rather good.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I mean, like, I guess I've seen loads of little kind of little kind of vines going round of, you know, celebration and whatnot, what people would be out in town doing on Saturday night. I mean, I was buzzing. What was your thoughts?
I saw a tweet. I was watching the Dubs match. I saw a tweet someone put up from the Norwich City official Twitter account saying goal or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's no point. Don't get excited. You know,
Yeah, it was quite early, wasn't it?
Then I saw another one came in.
Yeah, still too early.
Too ahead, but too early. Yeah. Then I saw that City had
got one
with Aguero just before half time, and I went, fuck that. That's it. You know, here we go again.
Yeah,
I've seen this before. You know.
Yeah.
So I didn't bother looking at the phone then, and then till the end of the match and the Dubs match, and I looked at it and could not believe it.
Yeah.
Then when I saw it was 3-2, like, you know, I was going, wow. But then I actually saw the footage and saw Otamendi and Stones. Absolute garbage. Absolute.
And
jokers.
herein
and
lies,
thank God we have a few months of this.
Yeah, herein lies our opportunity to potentially to not just maintain these 5 points that we've got in hand now, but maybe to extend it, Paddy.
Do you know what else it does? It shows the rest of the league that City aren't invincible.
Yeah,
exactly.
That teams.
It's the best part of Saturday for me.
Now I know Laporte is out for 6 months, is it? Now I know he's going.
Possibly.
I know he's going to Barcelona to go and get a stick of rock. He eats it and then he's all right.
Yeah, he'll be back next month.
But he'll be grand. He'll be all right now. But no, on a serious note, I watched the highlights back at the Norwich game, and I have to say, Norwich were brilliant. They were very, very good. Like, now, don't get me wrong, City still move the ball. City are like, as I just say, a metronome. The ball just goes left and right, switch off, bang, goal. But Norwich were brilliant, and they were up for it, and they were up for a scrap. And I don't think City liked that.
No,
because Stones and what's your man's name? Otamendi.
Yeah.
Do you know what they were like? Two younglers playing FIFA on the same team, and they didn't know what buttons to press. That's what it was like watching. It was just like your man trying to play the ball out in the back. That was disallowed. Was it disallowed, that one? Yeah. Like you're saying, your man was in the box. Like that is. Oh no, that was Watford. Sorry, Watford. I watched about 10 games same time, but it's
called match of the day.
Match of the day. But it's mad to see that, like as we're all saying, like other teams will probably study the Norwich game and see what way they played them and take it out, because we had to study Newcastle to see what they done to Spurs and learn from it. So, like, I know everyone's saying the 90-odd mark point again. Like, City are still going to be strong. Let's not make any bones about it. But I think there's a certain arrogance or a swagger about Liverpool now that even after going 1 goal down at home, still no panic. Maybe 2 goals, there would have been a bit of panic. But I think who was City's next game?
They're home to Watford, yeah.
Watford, right. So
I mean, Watford's come back. New manager.
I watched that. I actually watched 90 minutes of that game yesterday, and it just, like, Arsenal have. I know, like, if Arsenal fans are listening, Arsenal have no backbone. I was actually talking to a chap in work there. He said there's no English players in the team. There's not one English player that's anyway decent or anything like that. But Watford, for the last 30 minutes of that game, absolutely bashed Arsenal. Like, they should have been 4-3 up, 4-2 up. Like, they were flying.
missed the sitter at
oh
the end.
my God! But it's a testament now to the other teams around. As I said it 2 weeks ago, the gap between obviously City and Liverpool are the top 2 teams. And then you have Spurs, Chelsea, and then the gap below them, Wolves, Leicester, Watford are coming into play now. There's other teams now that are going to start taking points off the bigger teams. Now that could include us as well, but it looks now that the teams that were lower down the leagues will take points off the bigger sides, and that's could be us included. But it just shows the rest of the league that City aren't invincible and that they can be got at.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they'd be. I think they 8 or 9 games before we played them, and I thought it'd be lucky if they dropped 2 points, and they've already here we are. They've already dropped 5, and then you look through the fixtures now, and you think, well, actually, if that team believes in themselves, they can take points. If that team believes in themselves, they can take points. Now, on the flip side, our next 2 games, we've obviously got 2 away games now. We've got Chelsea coming up. Which is a 4:30 Sunday game. Tough enough game. Chelsea had a big win there. at the weekend at Wolves. And then after that, we've got Sheffield United away, which will be a cauldron.
Yeah.
Be a 12:30 kick-off. Not sure whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Probably prefer to go in there at 12:30 than 5:30. But they'll be Sheffield United be well up for
Good
it.
size, yeah.
They've acquitted themselves fairly well in the first few weeks.
Playing football as well.
Yeah, they haven't looked completely out of place in the Premier League. So, two tough enough games, but and then the next home game is against Leicester. So, how many points from those 3 games do we need to be looking at taking, Gar?
9.
Oh, yeah,
I'm going to say 9. For the simple reason, if you want to be...
say 9, yeah, it would be Richard.
If you want to be a champion, that's what you need to do. You need to win every fucking game, and that's it.
The tough thing is, though, the Champions League games, and it can be good. Or, it can be good or bad.
So we've got two Champions League games. We've got 2 Champions League games mixed in. Obviously, we've got Napoli away tomorrow.
Yeah,
but then we get a decent enough break before we have to go to Chelsea.
November,
on
December is a nightmare run. Right?
Yeah.
If we're top by November, December, we win the league. Right? Fact.
Okay.
Like that's the pivotal months.
You heard it here, folks.
January, February was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, we not like
January, February was last year, and we ballsed up. We got the draws.
Whoever's top of the league at Christmas always wins,
apart from Liverpool.
Yes,
3 times now.
Who's the new fella?
3 times we've done it, and we've been top.
Can you edit that out?
Ray, we'd like to thank you for your contribution.
Thanks very much for the guest speaker tonight.
Just saying it like it is.
Only joking.
9 points.
In fairness, Robbie's probably right in fairness, but no.
But there would have been a time where we would have said 6, 7. But you're right, Paddy. I think we've got to have that mentality, haven't we?
No, not at the levels we're at. We've gone up a level from last year. We have. We actually, it's not that City have dropped the level. We've actually gone up. And it's, as Klopp said before the season started, he says, we're coming back to pre-season. He says, I'm my champions.
I mean,
we have the winning mentality now.
I seen a fair bit of the United Leicester game, and I thought Leicester were poor.
Yeah.
I thought it was a funny weekend in that all of the kind of early pretenders, your Palaces, your Leicesters, your Wolves, they all just got brushed aside by
Leicester's back four. Do
you know what I mean?
Chilwell's a good player, and Schmeichel can be good, or can be. No, I wouldn't say bad, but he's not world class. Like he can pull out some good saves.
Yeah,
just to touch back on City there, lads, and it includes looking at them 2 hamheads at the back of the man too. And we just have Lovren and Melwood.
Yeah.
Whereas City have to watch 2 Lovrens play every week for the next 6 months. So, and then they got Rodri coming in, who's still quite new to the league. So Fernandinho is
trying to face
is 64
David
now.
Silva out a little bit.
Yeah, Silva's about 84 now as well.
Yeah.
So maybe. Don't mark that.
Maybe. I don't think City get the same. I don't know. I don't think they break the 100 points this season.
Chelsea be a tough on the weekend.
Yeah,
but they're suspect the back. We've seen them in the last couple of games. They are suspect. Tammy Abraham's flying at the moment. I expect our centre halves to cope with him.
He seems to be
Tammy Abraham against Virgil.
Tammy Abraham against the lesser lights in the league. He's obviously going to have a field day. He may well easily get 20 goals plus.
He's still quite new. I know he's had about 800 loans as Chelsea deal with players anyway. What age is he? About 84 now, right? No, but in fairness, he's getting a lot of space. He's getting into positions. He's scoring all types of goals in fairness to him. But teams are cop on him, and then we'll see how good he is.
Yeah. And okay, so let's move it on to the game tomorrow against Napoli. Obviously, we had like the 2, I guess, major team changes. So if we went along the lines of maybe bringing those let's make the assumption that Henderson and Firmino play, because they were the ones who got arrested.
Robbo's a doubt.
Is he a doubt?
I think he didn't
train.
I think he still starts.
No.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think he starts.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
If we make the assumption those 2 lads are back, and let's make an assumption that maybe he swaps it around again and maybe takes a couple of lads out. What potential other 2 changes do you think are most likely? Do you think there's any?
Henderson's the main one, isn't he?
Yeah, no, I just mean assuming Henderson is back in and Firmino's back in. Any of the other lads, do you think, drop out potentially?
I think Genie gets a rest.
Do you think
and
Genie
Chamberlain
gets a
comes in.
rest?
Yeah.
So Chamberlain
Chamberlain
keeps his
comes in,
place.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think Chamberlain comes in.
that in the middle if he doesn't start at left full.
In Napoli.
Milner, Hendo and Firmino.
Yeah, just
a bit of steel.
Just an atmosphere, a bit
It's
of
Napoli
joy.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No joke. So.
Yeah. I mean, last year we
saw last
were
year.
shocking.
Yeah, we were awful there last year.
It was shocking.
So it's going to be keep the ball in that atmosphere. And I would expect Milner, if he doesn't go in left full,
Is there
Fabinho, Milner and Henderson in the middle.
And I don't know, is there a chance that Trent goes out for Gomez maybe?
Potentially. Potentially.
For a bit of a rest, yeah.
For a bit of a rest.
He could be right,
And just
Trent went
Gomez
away.
would
I mean,
have
what
that
you were
kind of-
saying about you thought he might have got a game against Newcastle.
Yeah.
Gomez, I think, potentially, yeah.
He might have that bit more defensively than Trent does. Well,
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Gomez at right back, but I think there's an argument to give Trent a rest from time to time, given what's asked from him.
Are we leaving
week in,
Lovren
week
and
out.
Melwood?
We're definitely leaving Lovren.
Where's
in
my
Melwood.
passport? Couldn't find it, Dejan.
Well,
Definitely confiscated.
Fortunately, he did travel.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Hopefully he was just a club photographer for this particular trip.
Yeah, look after the Instagram account, Julie.
But look, on paper, this is our hardest game in the group, yeah? It's not like last season where we also had PSG to factor into the group. This is our hardest game. We were saying there, we've got to be in the mentality of winning our next 3 league games, but are we taking a point tomorrow night if it becomes
a
point
and no injuries.
Yeah.
Nothing. Because Napoli are going to be out for a bit of blood after last year. And it's normally the games in Italy are a bit dogged. Like they put it about, in fairness to them.
Yeah.
And the main thing would 3 points is possible, but if you take a draw away from home and no injuries, no bad injuries, and start the playing up, get back, get ready for next week.
I mean, they went out. I watched some of their game. They went toe to toe with Juventus. They were 3-0 down. They brought it back to 3-3, and Koulibaly scored an absolutely beautiful own goal, which gave Juventus a 4-3 win in injury time.
Do you know that? What's that thing they don't used to do in Italian football? Oh, the match fixing. Nobody used to do that.
You were going to say defending.
No, they don't defend. Jesus, defending went out the window.
4-3 in an Italian league game. I mean,
what the fuck was that about?
I don't know. Even Ronaldo couldn't believe what was going on. It was even more obvious than a GAA replay.
We're not allowed to say that here, Dicko. Jesus Christ, you'll have bleeding. Someone coming through the door there.
Do you know where you are? Seriously, fucking hell.
So we'd settle for a point tomorrow and just and no damage, get out of there, yeah. And then if we move on to the Chelsea game, I mean, do you think again a little bit of rotation potentially? Is there any sign of Alisson? What's the latest on Alisson? Alisson watch?
Next international break. Is what Klopp,
3-4 weeks, is it?
Yeah, Klopp said basically the schedule was next international break, and don't ask me any questions, basically.
Okay, so we've got to negotiate the next 3 league games, basically. Yeah.
Well, again, as you were saying, Adrian looks amazing. Well, not amazing, but he looks comfortable. He looks like he's there years. I don't know if that's testament to the back four or to himself or to a bit of both.
He's not Simon Mignolet.
Well, yeah.
Thank God, yeah.
He's another one whose passport we should have thrown away for. We didn't get the chance.
And what about? I'm thinking now of fellas who struggle to get on the pitch. Naby Keita. What's the latest with Naby Keita?
He's back at training this week, I think.
Yeah, he's back after the Napoli game.
Okay.
Rather hired a new physio when he used to work for McVitie's. So he's going to look after him. He's made of biscuits, that poor chap.
I don't think Napoli agrees with him as well after the last year when he went down after 15 minutes and decided to give it a miss.
Actually, I don't know. I didn't know much about him before he came to Liverpool. But did he used to break down that much in Germany?
No.
Nope.
No, not at all. No.
So is it down to the training? Is it down to something else going on?
Well, he kind of down tools in the last half of his season with Red Bull, and he got sent off a couple of times.
Yeah,
and then I think it took him a lot of time to kind of adjust to the mentality of Liverpool, and he's still adjusting.
But I don't think, obviously...
But I think the training regime is completely different and way more intense than he's used to.
Yeah, it would be, but I don't think his experience in the Africa Cup of Nations did us any favours either.
It definitely didn't.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think he's a dud?
He's probably the most at risk of becoming that dud of any of the players we've brought in recently.
If he doesn't get in a decent run by Christmas, he's finished.
Yeah, given the amount we spent on him as well.
Yeah, no, but seriously, if he doesn't get a good run of games by Christmas, he'll be gone next summer.
Yeah.
But in fairness to him, where does he play? Genie is... I don't know what Genie when Yandom's drinking or smoking, but my God, he's another player who's been unbelievable. He's outrageous.
Yeah, he's scoring goals for Holland as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he was playing up front.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I actually only watched his highlights against Arsenal the other night. My God above, he was absolutely just taking the piss. He was different. He was unbelievable. He's actually at the Firmino levels against that. He was brilliant.
Yeah.
And so where does, that's what I was saying, that's what I was going to ask is, where does Keita come in? Because I think Henderson's a starter every week if he's fit.
Yeah.
With Firmino.
Yeah.
And Wijnaldum's the same. So do you rotate?
And Oxlade-Chamberlain is really starting to establish himself as that kind of next
in line.
Next in line, yeah. I mean, obviously we know Milner's probably getting phased out because of his age and whatnot, but Oxlade-Chamberlain seems to be coming up through the pecking order, whereas Keita is going to really have to fight hard to get beyond Oxlade-Chamberlain by the time he starts becoming an option again. I mean, chances are he'll end up slotting into, again, what good will it do? But he probably end up making his bleeding comeback against MK Dons. You know what I mean? Yeah. Get knocked out of that cup.
Behind his Brewster and Origi or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what do you think, Robbie?
I think he may come in. I think we've got to play as strong a team as possible in the next two games, the Napoli game and the Chelsea game.
Yeah.
And I think,
but you don't even bring you don't bring Naby Keita into Sheffield United at 12:30 on a Saturday, do you?
No.
So where, at what point?
Apart from the obvious, the MK Dons.
The MK Dons,
but
yeah.
I think it's very hard to. I think for the moment, I'm definitely up to the next international break. We play our strongest team because keep pushing on, and hopefully maybe City slip up again, and then you have a bit of breathing space. Then,
and we all know Klopp is all about trust with his players, and can he trust Keita at the moment? No, we can't. So,
well, maybe Keita's someone that they look to hold back, as we've seen in previous seasons. Okay, in slightly different context, but he's not been averse at bringing players in the second half of the season from nowhere.
We seen it with Firmino when he came to the club.
Exactly.
He held them back and held them and held them, then was like, right, you're ready.
Yeah.
And I think he tried to do the same with Keita, but he just kept breaking down. The same could be said for Lallana. Where does Lallana fit into the plans?
He doesn't.
He doesn't really
I know,
at this stage.
Klopp,
he's converted to a defensive midfielder according to that art. Jesus Christ.
Remember we done that to another player? Remember he came from Brazil and he was in behind the striker, absolute machine, and then he just turned out to be Lucas Leiva. But that's what I remember watching an interview with him, and he said he came to the club. He played from Grumeo.
He was a box-to-box midfielder.
He was I was watching videos on YouTube, and he was this Goldie locked assassin. He was unreal, and then he came to Liverpool. And listen, you just sit in front of the back four. Now, in fairness, he had a lot of competition on Mascherano, Alonso, and Gerrard when he played there. But people might give out when I say this, but Lucas was a good servant to the club and doing what was asked.
He had some decent seasons.
Yeah.
In fact, he had some of his better seasons after he'd taken dog's abuse for years, and then he actually started to look like a bit of a player. I think
he's been Lazio's player of the season for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. I remember being in a taxi one time over in Liverpool, and the taxi man said, he said, who'd you like? I said, Lucas isn't bad. He goes, Lucas, he's not even fucking Brazilian. I was like, yeah, he is. He's not. But no, that's what I was going to ask, where does Lallana fit in? Where does Keita fit in? As you were saying, Chamberlain is just on the cusp of getting into the starting 11 and is a player that we can call on. Shaqiri as well. Yeah. Bruce, there's a young talent who we're looking at, or who we're looking at to bring in. But it's as we always saying here, you just have to trust the manager and see what he wants to do. And if he's converting Lallana to a defensive midfielder or defensive playmaker, then he must see something that we obviously don't, because we don't train them 6 hours a day, 7 days a week. We don't see what goes on behind closed doors. Like the same thing I seen in an interview with Alana talking about Henderson. He says they collect each other going to and from training, and he says by the time Jordan picks me up, he said he's constantly on the phone sorting out something for players or talking to players and sorting out stuff. He says, and people don't see what he does behind closed doors, so we don't know the ins and outs of the club as much as we'd like to think. But again, it's just
on the pitch is you find it difficult to see where he's going to contribute.
He'll be that experience in cup games, won't he? He'll get them games, and let's be honest, he's not going to walk into league games. He might
get 3 or 4 games where there's some significant. I mean, when things are becoming a bit of a slog in that second half of the season, that's where I can see some of these players making
around
some
Christmas
kind of
and stuff.
Around Christmas, just after Christmas. He's got to devise some kind of plan to avoid us having this drop off that we've had.
Especially when we've got that that World Club,
the World Club in December.
Like we can't. The team that comes back has to be some sort of rotation in that team.
Yeah,
it can't be the same guys who play, because where it's in fucking Abu Dhabi or Qatar. Okay, yeah, news.
Yeah, so they've got to. Yeah, I mean, maybe Lallana finds himself playing in that, in that semi-final against. Did you say it was a Mexican team or something like that we've got to play in the semi-final? So maybe you get some minutes there. I think he's a certainty in the cup games. You might see him in the odd league game. I mean, what was the game last season that he made a big impact? Everyone was raving about him. Was it Burnley at home or someone like that? Lallana. Yeah. So a few of those. Every game will have its importance now, because if we are going to win this league, it's still going to be. I think everyone still thinks we're going to have to break 90.
I think squad-wise, City have a better squad than ours, but I think from 1 to 11, I think we're better. 1 to 11. That's my opinion. I don't know what other people think, but it's
well, if you look at City now, lads, they've lost company.
Yeah,
you've lost Laporte for a little while.
Yeah.
You've got Rodri who's coming in to settle as well. I think he's going to hit the ground running.
They've had to settle on Zinchenko at left back.
Left full, he's not great.
Do you know what I mean? They thought Mendy was the man there, and he was for a little while, but obviously
he's gone to the digestive factory as well.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they'll, they're going for 3 in a row here, and it's a hard slog, what I mean, having to break 90 points again.
And add that to the pressure that's building on them winning the European Cup.
Ederson was awful for that first goal of the weekend. Did anyone see the first goal of the weekend? He was awful for.
Yeah, when he knocked it across there.
Yeah, it was shocking. He just stuck in his line. He didn't move. City are strange to watch them on.
Yeah. Something's not quite right, is it? I don't know.
His
what
interviews
it is,
as well. He seems to, he's quite mommy. He's having pops at Liverpool. We keep talking about us is beyond me, because
we're the main competition.
The pressure thing is he's trying to divert the pressure away, but yeah. 100%.
It's his third season, isn't it? His famous third season.
He has a little strop and then he fucks off at the end of the third season.
Juve or PSG, he ends up at next year,
or he takes another sabbatical like he did last time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all building in that direction, isn't it? It's I think we've just got to keep that pressure on. I think there'll be cracks and chinks that appear if we start, not only if we start building a bit of a gap, but if the plaudits are coming, if the plaudits come thick and fast, Pep will not like that.
The press can either hammer you as a title challenger, or they can really start to like you. And there is a lot of fans starting to turn and look.
Nobody wanted us to win the league last year.
Nobody. 100%. They didn't want us to win.
Yeah.
It was always the Pep love in. It was, City are amazing. Obviously, Sterling was a little golden boy after all. There was headlines about obviously what was going on in London and his tattoo, and the press were getting on his back as well.
Yeah.
So it was all for City last year.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, lads, the press can help you.
Yeah, they can, in the psychological warfare.
In a weird kind of way. The press can help you.
Yeah.
Us winning the Champions League eclipsed City winning the league.
It did, and that really stuck.
That pissed off.
That really stuck in his throat, didn't it?
Yeah, it really did.
And I think I think the tide is turning a little bit. I think City, I don't know, there's just something not quite right about them, and I think if we can establish a lead and we are getting all of the credit, I think
it was how the two lads, Mane and Salah, came through that little bump.
Yeah.
That was another big thing
The
as
little
well.
spat.
It only went for a couple of days.
Yeah, I know. Probably helped that the international break came, and it just
Brilliant.
kind of
at the right time.
Yeah,
you know?
took the emphasis
boy
off
look
it.
at the zone that happened.
Yeah, by
and then
luck,
you
I
look the
think,
weekend, and
yeah.
they're going celebrating goals together.
I know.
Klopp said it gets sorted out internally.
Yeah.
Nobody's called in. It's an in-house mat. It's sorted in-house, and
And you
it's
see
not
the
up to him.
weekend, Salah runs after him after he scores a goal. You know, so.
And just look at that group. Just look at that group City have got as well in the Champions League. They can win all 6 of them games and probably have a plus 25 goal difference, and they'll get 0 credit for it. Yeah. And again, that'll just wind Pep up even more. Do you know what I mean? I think it is like, I think things are starting to shift. And look, we've got off to a fantastic start. We're 5 from 5. The 5-point gap is there. I think the goal has got to be to at least maintain that going into the next international break, if not extend it somehow. And obviously that means City dropping points. But back to Paddy. Next 3 league games. How many points, Paddy?
9, lads.
Is right. Is right. Okay, look, we'll leave it there. It is the club. We will be back next week with another edition. If you are trying to feed off the frenzy of Liverpool at the moment, then tune in to Gav every night. He's on generally around 10:30.
On the sofa.
He was in London this weekend watching the game with Grizz. I believe Gav missed every single goal due to fag breaks.
Can't play.
There's any companies out there that are vaping, or companies that want to sponsor Gav so we can vape, just get in contact with lfcdaytrippers@twitter.com.
So look, we'll see you next week. It's been Ray, it's been Gar, Paddy, Robbie and James on decks. We'll see you with another edition next week.